Hi everyone. Today we'll be discussing one of the most widely used and asked profitability framework. And be it a consulting interview, program manager, category manager interviews, uh, in most of the interviews you can expect profitability related questions. There are some specific reason why they do this because it is easiest to check the business sense of a person using profitability frameworks. So basically, to check whether the person is able to distinguish between profitability, whether he or she is able to understand what revenue means, what are the drivers that lowers the revenue, or what are the drivers that increases the cost or decreases the cost. So I would say this is the best framework to start with. So today I'll be providing a basic structure of profitability framework in a broader sense. Will not go in depth of each of the line items or each of the boxes, I would say. And then most probably I'll be following up with either a case on profitability or some more discussion on each of the items in the profitability framework. So let's get started. Now, the whole idea, why I have not put the whole framework upfront here, because uh, along with you guys, I will be disintegrating this boxes in a logical order. So that is how we'll go. So profitability to, uh, if let's say uh, I'm saying that the profit has increased or decreased, and if I want to analyze why the profit has decreased or increased. Okay, so how to do it? First of all, what consists profit? By the way, there is I hope everybody knows the difference between profit and profitability. So these are two things, although I write profitability here because it is like uh, used indistinguishably for the naming this frameworks, but profit and profitability is are two different things. So just google it up. I think it's a very easy mm, uh, concept only, but it's good to know. Cool. So what consists, uh, what profit is made of? So profit can be divided into two things. First is revenue, and second is cost, right? Now let's say if profit is going down, let me just correct it so that mm, otherwise we might get confused here. Cool. So let's say profit is going down. Now why a profit can go down? Either the revenue is going down, cost being the same, yeah, or cost going up, revenue being the same, or double whammy where revenue is going down and cost is going up. And maybe in some of the case videos where I'll be explaining it with the help of a case, I'll be going deeper into uh, these cases, these situations which actually occur in real life scenario. So yeah, so let's say we follow the revenue line of uh, logic. So whenever a profitability case or related case is given to you, you disintegrate the top profit into revenue and cost. Try to gauge whether revenue is higher or lower, cost is higher or lower. And most of the times interviewer themselves ask you to follow either revenue disintegration or cost disintegration. And in case they do not give you any hint on this, please follow one of the disintegration first based on your gut feeling, and then come back and do the other disintegration too. So that is how it is done. Now, what are the drivers of revenue? Like on a very high level, let's say if you don't know much about business, on a very high level, how will you break revenue? So revenue is basically if I'm able to let's say multiply price and the number of units I sold for each product items I have, then I'll get a revenue, right? So for revenue, sorry, yeah. So for revenue, we need two things: average price of a unit and volume sold. Now, why average price? So, most of the cases when you will be solving a case for a real life company, you will realize that companies don't have one single product, right? They will be having multiple products. For example, let's take one example. Let's say PNG. So they also make a soap, which is, let's say, cost 30 rupees, and they also make a shampoo which cost uh, 250 or 280 or 300 rupees, basically 10 times. So 30 and 300. Now if we only consider in unit terms, there will be two, let's say, one unit of soap and one unit of shampoo. So there are only two units, but for one unit the price is only 30 and for other unit price is 300. Now when we aggregate it at an overall level, counting in unit terms will not make sense because two units are not identical, they are differing too much in terms of price. So what is the common basis on which we can compare all these different products? That is either dollar terms or basically the rupee terms. So in currency can be taken as a common variable which will basically remove unit level or cost price or selling price related variabilities. So that is why we always bring it to a currency level and take a average price of a unit. Now once you arrive at an average price of unit, if you know the volume sold, then multiplying these two will simply give you revenue. Try wrapping your head around it. I'm sure that you'll be able to get this. Cool. Now once we arrive at average price unit and volume sold, so let's just say that profit is going down and let's just say revenue is going down. Now revenue was going down. Let's say I come here and I ask whether average price of a unit is going down or volume sold is going down. Now average price of a unit very rarely goes down, at least in FMCG, but like just for the sake of discussion, it can go down in some of the industries. So yeah, but I would take the most standard path here. So mostly a company loses volume sold. In most of the cases, you will be asked, a company will be losing volume sold. Not to exclude the case where average price of unit is going down, but just for the sake of taking a standard route, I'll be going from here. So how can a volume go down? Okay, so volume can go down by two reasons. Maybe the whole market share in itself is decreasing, right? So just to take an example, let's say let's take an extreme condition only. Right now, let's say petrol cars are selling, and let's say in near future EV becomes more and more like mainstream. So volume sold for petrol cars are anyway going to be going to decrease because the market size in itself is decreasing, right? So we can add, first is, if the market size in itself is decreasing, there is a chance that most of the players in the industry will lose volume. Now one more thing is, if let's say market size is not decreasing, still a company can lose volume. How? If they are losing basically the market share, and this is most common scenario. So let's say whenever a new entrant comes in, the business landscape, they take some of your market share. So you are basically losing volume sold. Now there are many nuances to it, but we'll be discussing that during one of the detailed cases, because it is much easier to show it in terms of numbers. So how can a volume decrease? Either market size has decreased, or market size remaining constant, market share decreased, or again double whammy, market size is also decreasing and market share is also decreasing. And one of the one of the cases which you can see in at least telecom industry, that although market size increased, market share of many companies decreased, like Vodafone decreased, or not to point out examples like Uninor or some other telecom companies used to be there. And when Geo took the market and almost like took became the major took the major market share, then all the other market participants were losing share. And at that time, market size was actually increasing, and still all the other existing market participants were losing market share. So yeah. Now, market size, as we just discussed, can depend on multiple factors. I'll just list a few, and yeah, I'll just list a few. We'll just do one thing. Much easier this way. Yeah. First can be economic downturns. So whenever like there is a recession or something, generally market size of certain type of products decreases. So let's say when there is a recession, there is a lesser chance of buying a two-wheeler or four-wheeler, because most of our money is going into staples and uh, daily spendings. Second can be, oops, sorry. Yeah. Second can be, let's say, substitute availability. So here our example comes in regarding the petrol car, and it can be easily substituted with an EV car waiting for EV infrastructure in the country. So this is one of the things which can hammer down your market size. And change in buying behavior. Now change in buying behavior is a peculiar case, and I'll give you an example. So let's say there is a recent trend of adopting more sustainable solutions, more healthy food. And when it comes to healthy food, people are sometimes discarding the traditionally existing fast food. So that is how a consumer behavior can change. And let's say if consumer behavior can keep on changing, like people are making healthy choices, then at least in some specific regions, or and later at an aggregated level too, if buying behavior changes from one product, like one type of product, let's say fast food, to more healthy options, then also the market size can get impacted. And this happens. So, but a very slow way, but this happens. So these are some of the factors, and you can maybe list down more factors in the chat, or what we say in the comments, and maybe I can comment back whether it can affect the market size or not. It is always a good practice to like think one or two factors on your own too, and most probably they will be correct only because I have not made this list very comprehensive. Yeah. And market share, how or what will affect market share? So at least in my B school we used to study three things to do a quick check on market share, and these are basically marketing related stuff. And I'll list out the name, and maybe in another video when I'm taking a deeper level session on this, I'll be explaining each of those things in a very detailed way. So first is awareness. I'll come to each one of these. first is awareness. uh, if a customer is aware or not about your product, whether your product exists or not. Second comes likability. Although your although your target customer is aware about your product, whether he or she likes your product. And third comes is accessibility. Although your customer is aware that your product exists, they like your product, but doesn't mean they'll be able to buy your product. Now, uh, okay, so let's discuss on a very high level about all these three, so that like at least it will be complete. At least the revenue part of the discussion will be complete today. Okay, so to take the case of awareness. Now, this happens in most of the new companies. They come up with some new product, along with some very good, let's say, value proposition. But until people know that this product exists in the market, how will they buy? So let's say there is a company called Sanfe. They focus on women hygiene. Now, the problem they are solving is really good, and they are actually solving the problem of women health, which was neglected for such a long time. So they are actually solving a very good problem. But like I at least did a survey kind of thing. Whenever I met a friend, I basically asked them, are they aware about this company or not? And more often than not, they were not aware about the company. So if they are not aware, how will they buy? Right? And to tackle this problem, what companies do is they basically promote their product, and here all the promotional spending, ads related thing, and all those things come. So the ads you see on TV, that this is basically to make their customer aware, right? Now, once the customer is aware, doesn't mean they'll buy your product, right? For to buy, for a customer to finally buy your product, it should also be having a acceptable price, quality, acceptable by a customer, usage, quality. Like quality is a one of most controversial topic. Like everybody does not uh, expect certain range of quality. The quality also depends with your target customer. So just maybe take my example. Like I am okay with Indian cars, but some, because I am more concerned about prices. But let's say for someone uh, who has more who has more money to spend, they are extremely cautious about what they're spending on, and that is where Mercedes, Jaguar, and very high end cars come, which does not even take the NCAP rating. Rather, like having their name itself will ensure that they have spent so much money on your safety. So just a like crude example, but I hope you guys got it. Yeah. So for likability, price, quality, usage, or maybe services. So let's say you're buying a two wheeler or four wheeler, then services are very important for you. And let's say if any returns or maintenance or something needs to be happened in the product, then customer service uh, also becomes very important. Now, let's say your customer is aware about your product, likes your product, it also should be accessible. Now, let's say I'm from Patna, so let's say I'm in Patna right now, and I like a very good shirt or something. And I mean, during these days, e-commerce has made it very easy to like order sitting in Patna and maybe ordering from Kerala or Mumbai or Delhi. But let's say it is not sold on e-commerce. Let's just take that case. Then even if I'm aware about the product, I like the product, I have no way to access that product sitting in Patna. So that is the accessibility. So even I'm ready to spend money on that product, I'll not be able to spend money, right? Because that product is not accessible to me. So this problem is solved by basically uh, distribution partners, which is basically your retail stores and everything. Retail store, mall, shops, all those things will come here. And this will this basically includes all the concepts related to demand planning and demand planning side of things, basically the end user sales related things. So this is the disintegration of revenue part of profitability framework or profit framework. And most often than not, while doing a case, you will be able to get your answer by here. Like once you reach market size and market share, you will have a very directional knowledge of where you want to head from there. Okay, and that will be pretty evident once we start doing a case. So in this video I will keep it to revenue disintegration, and uh, in my next video you can expect cost related disintegration too. And maybe once both are complete, you can take a screenshot of this whatever I prepared here. It will be a very easy reference for you to, like, let's say paste it in your hostel room if you are living in a hostel, or your room, whatever, and then refer it again and again. That is why I'm using some app to build this, so that it is very easy and digestible to look at. Because I'm pretty aware, like when it is done on board or something, I mean, at least I don't like it, and it becomes really difficult for me to uh, mm, remember something which does not look structured. So that's why. So cool. I'll meet you again with the discussion related to cost disintegration in the same framework. Thank you everyone. Have a good day. Bye.